The median American household is worth about $191,100. Strip out the house and that number drops to $61,930. Most of that wealth was never spendable. It is a roof and a mortgage. If you are 60 years old and you feel net worth rich but cash poor in retirement, this is not bad budgeting. It is a structural problem with where your money is locked. And you cannot need home equity when the bill comes due. If you are 50 to 65 and you have spent decades doing the responsible thing, making every payment, watching the equity climb, telling yourself the house is the plan, this is not a failure of discipline. It is a geometry problem. The number you had been tracking is the wrong number. And today we're going to run the one that actually matters. The math behind this is uglier than most retirement advisors will tell you. Let me show you what I mean. Most people think about retirement wealth as a single number, net worth. They add up the house, the car, the savings account, the 401k, and they get a total. The total feels reassuring. $190,000 sounds like a foundation. It sounds like someone who has done the work. But there are two completely different kinds of wealth inside that number, and only one of them can actually pay your electricity bill. The first kind is liquid, cash in a savings account, a brokerage account, an IRA you can draw from, money you can actually deploy without selling your home or asking a bank for permission. The second kind is frozen. It sits inside the walls of your house. It exists on paper, it grows every year on a Zillow estimate. And for most of the time you are alive and retired, it does exactly nothing for you. What I call frozen wealth is the portion of your net worth that lives inside your primary residence. It is real wealth. It is just not accessible wealth. And the critical problem is that most Americans have been quietly concentrating their entire financial life into this one illiquid bucket without realizing it. The Census Bureau data is stark. The median household in this country looks wealthy on a balance sheet. But when you subtract the home equity, that same household has $61,930 and everything else combined. That is the number I want you to hold in your head. $61,930. That is what the median household has to actually live on if the house stays off the table. Not the $191,000, the $61,930. Now here is the retirement math that makes this dangerous. The Bureau of Labor Statistics looked at what households led by people 65 and older actually spend in a year. The 2024 number is $61,432. Not a projection, not a conservative estimate. That is what real retired households are actually spending right now every year on groceries and utilities and healthcare and transportation and every other bill that does not stop arriving because you stopped working. Let me put those two numbers next to each other. The median household has $61,930 in liquid assets. Retirement costs $61,432 a year. That is less than 13 months of runway. You have paid off your home. You have done everything right for 30 years. And your financial cushion, the part you can actually spend, is approximately 1 year. This is what I call the spendable number problem. Your spendable number is your net worth minus your home equity. It is the only figure that tells you how long you can actually live without a paycheck. Most people have never calculated it. They track total net worth because total net worth is the flattering number. It is the number that lets you feel like you are on track. The spendable number is the honest one. I want to pause here because this is the part where a specific objection starts forming. If you're thinking, well, Kevin, I can just sell the house, that is what equity is for. I hear you, it sounds simple. It is not. Let us walk through what actually happens when Kevin, 64 years old, decides to sell the house and convert that frozen wealth into cash. The house is worth $380,000. He bought it for $80,000 30 years ago. His gain is $300,000. First, the exit cost. Agent fees, closing costs, title transfer taxes. You are looking at roughly 6% of the sale price walking out the door before you see a dime. On a $380,000 home, that is about $22,800, gone before Kevin deposits a check. Second, the capital gains problem. The IRS allows single filers to exclude $250,000 of gain on a primary residence sale. Married couples get $500,000. That exclusion was written in 1997 and has never been adjusted for inflation. Kevin is single. His gain is $300,000. That is $50,000 above the exclusion limit. The IRS taxes the overage at 15 to 20% long-term capital gains rate. Another $7,500 to $10,000 out the door. Third, and this is the one nobody talks about, Kevin still needs somewhere to live. The equity converts into cash, yes. But that cash immediately starts paying rent or buying a smaller property. It does not transform into pure retirement income. It transforms into a different housing cost structure. Selling the house is not a bad strategy. For some people in some situations, it is the right move. But it is not the simple ATM withdrawal it looks like from the outside. The equity is real. The friction to access it is also real. This brings us to what is happening to people who do not sell. People who stay in the paid-off house and assume that eliminating the mortgage, eliminating the housing cost, that assumption has a serious flaw. Let me build this out slowly because the numbers matter. The mortgage is gone. What stays? Property taxes nationwide average $4,427 a year and rose 3.7% last year alone, faster than general inflation. On a $380,000 home, maintenance runs roughly 1% of value per year, about $3,800. Homeowners insurance adds another $2,000 or more annually. Utilities do not go away. Total ongoing housing costs for a paid-off home conservatively is $10,000 to $12,000 every single year. Now picture the bar. That $61,930 in liquid assets is your bar. Property tax takes a chunk. The bar shrinks. Maintenance takes another chunk. The bar shrinks again. Insurance. The bar shrinks again. And that is before food, transportation, healthcare, or any of the other $40,000 worth of expenses that make up a normal retirement year. The bar is not growing. It is eroding from every direction simultaneously. A paid-off house is a genuine achievement. It eliminates the largest single line item in most people's monthly budgets. But it is not a retirement plan. It is a place to sleep while the retirement plan either works or fails around it. If you want to understand the mechanics of traditional financial advice glosses over this is what we do here at Dollars into Decades. One of these every week. Hit subscribe. Now the skeptic in the room might push back here. They might say home equity is still wealth. Prices go up. I'm not losing anything by having equity, and that is true. A home that appreciates is genuinely building value. The issue is not whether the value exists. It is whether the value is accessible when you need it. Think about it this way. Imagine two bars on a graph side by side. The left bar is your frozen wealth. Call it $129,000 in home equity. It is tall, and it is solid, and it sits there looking impressive. The right bar is your spendable number. Call it $62,000. It is shorter. It looks almost thin compared to the left bar. But here is the thing. Only the right bar can actually move. Only the right bar can go into your checking account on December 15th when the heating bill arrives. The left bar just stands there looking good on paper, while the right bar does all the actual work of keeping you alive in retirement. Most retirement planning focuses on growing the total. Coast Buyer Numbers Network milestones the 4% rule applied to everything you own. But the 4% rule only works on liquid assets. You cannot withdraw 4% of your home equity every year. You can withdraw 4% of your brokerage account, your IRA, your actual investable assets. Applied to $62,000, 4% is $2,480 a year. Not $2,480 a month, $2,480 a year. That is not retirement income. That is a rounding error. The Federal Reserve has been tracking this trend for decades. Among households headed by people ages 60 to 69, the share of net worth sitting inside a primary residence rose from about 40% in 1989 to over 50% by 2022. More than half of retirement age wealth locked in a single illiquid asset tied to a single zip code generating zero income. That concentration has been building quietly for a generation. Here is the second twist. And this is the one that catches even financially literate people off guard. The households in this data who feel most trapped are not the households with low net worth. They are the ones with $1 million to $2 million in total net worth. The barely millionaires. People who by any measure look wealthy on a statement. Bloomberg found that households in this range have roughly 66% of their wealth locked in primary homes and retirement accounts that cannot be touched without penalties or massive tax consequences. They do not feel rich, because for practical daily cash flow purposes, they are not. Being net worth wealthy and being spendable number wealthy are two different financial realities. The house inflates one number without improving the other. So what do you actually do with this? Here is the protocol, 3 steps, executable before the end of this week. Step 1 is to calculate your spendable number right now. Pull up your accounts. Add every liquid or semi-liquid asset you own. Brokerage account, IRA, Roth, 401k. Savings, treasury bonds. Do not include your home. Do not include your car. Write down that total. That is your real number. That is a number that determines how many years of retirement you can fund. If you have never calculated it separately from your total net worth, the result may be uncomfortable. That discomfort is useful information. Step 2 is to compare your spendable number to your annual retirement spending. Use the Bureau of Labor Statistics benchmark of $61,432 as a starting point if you do not have a personal estimate. Divide your spendable number by that annual cost. The result tells you how many years of retirement you can fund purely from liquid assets, ignoring Social Security, ignoring any part-time income, just the money you can actually access. If the answer is less than 20, you have a frozen wealth concentration problem that needs to be addressed before you retire, not after. Step 3 is to start building your liquid layer deliberately and separately from your home equity strategy. Every dollar you direct toward additional mortgage paydown after your mortgage is at a manageable level is a dollar going into the frozen bucket instead of the liquid one. This does not mean carry debt forever. It means that once your mortgage is under control, the priority shifts. Brokerage accounts. Roth conversions while you are still in a lower tax bracket. Taxable investment accounts that generate actual cash flow. Build the right bar while you still have income to build it with. The goal of paying off the house was never wrong. It is a real financial achievement, and it genuinely eliminates a major fixed cost. The mistake is treating that achievement as the finish line instead of as the foundation. The house eliminates a bill. It does not create income. Freedom in retirement is not the number on your net worth statement. It is the size of the bucket that can actually move when you need it to. Frozen wealth is the number that looks good. The spendable number is the one that tells the truth. And if you have been tracking the wrong one, now is the time to run to the right one. Drop your spendable number in the comments. Not the total, just the number of years of runway it gives you. I want to see what the real picture looks like for people watching this. And if you are 50 to 65 trying to build a liquid layer before you get there, hit subscribe. I am Malcolm. This is Dollars into Decades. I will see you on the next one.